Hi, hello. Today we're going to be talking about the counters for the 7-star Ice Empoleon raid that's going to happen this weekend. I have 4 brand new counters you can use, and then 2 old ones that you can just recycle in case you do not have time to build this weekend. Before we go over those 6 counters, let's talk about what Empoleon can do. Now, I will point out here that Empoleon does have competitive as a hidden ability instead of defiant. That was changed actually this generation. Defiant increases your physical attacks when you are hit by a move like Chilling Water or Intimidate. Competitive increases your special attacks. What that means is if we go down to its base stats, Empoleon is more of a special attacker than it is a physical attacker. Now, I do suspect that Empoleon will have at least 1 or 2 physical attacks, so we are taking that in consideration. But it has a special attack of 111, which is not the strongest we've seen. I think with the limited move pool that Empoleon has, but a really good ability like competitive, our main goal here is to shut down that ability as soon as possible. And we have multiple ways to do that. On the special side, I calculated the main moves of Hydro Pump, Flash Cannon, Blizzard, and Air Slash. While it's possible that it doesn't have Hydro Pump and it has Surf, the general rule is if we can survive Hydro Pump, we can survive Surf. The same with like Blizzard or Ice Beam. All our calculations take these 4 moves into consideration. On the physical side, we took all of these moves into consideration with Wave Crash, Drill Peck, Earthquake, Brick Break, Rock Slide, Ice Spinner, and Metal Claw. None of these moves are really that threatening, except for maybe Earthquake for a few Pokemon like Iron Hands, possibly. But because Empoleon gets access to Swords Dance, that could make its physical move pool a little bit more intimidating than not. Empoleon also gets access to Haze, Snowscape, Rain Dance, Charm, and Iron Defense. The ones that are really standing out to me here are Snowscape because of it is an Ice Pokemon. While it would set Snow like the 7-star Inteleon or the 7-star Iron Bundle, that means its defense would increase in the snow. It would also make Blizzard 100% accurate, which we don't want to see. With a Pokemon that can boost its defense in the snow, but also gets access to Iron Defense, if we just pick special attackers, we don't have to worry about that at all. The only thing we would have to worry about is Swords Dance getting out of control, and we have plenty of counters for that. Empoleon does get access to Charm, which would make it annoying for physical attackers. Just talked about how we're going to skip on those. This leads us to our first raid build, which is Clawlitzer. If we understand type weakness and type resistances, water actually resists the 3 stabs, same type attack bonus that Empoleon has. Water resists water, water resists steel, and water resists ice. The main gimmick around Clawlitzer is actually its ability. Clawlitzer is one of 3 Pokemon that gets an ability called Mega Launcher. Mega Launcher will increase the power of all Aura and Pulse moves by 50%, and it will make Heal Pulse heal even more damage when it's being used. So we're going to take that into effect against the 7-star Empoleon. We'll be able to hit super effective Aura Sphere for a base 120 damage, and we can help heal any of our teammates and restore their health by 75% of their HP. This would be very useful if you're sitting next to an Iron Hands that is going to probably belly drum, and before it belly drums and faints, which is usually what happens with Iron Hands, you can heal pulse it to keep it alive. The coolest part about Clawlitzer is it gets a move called Entrainment. Entrainment will take your ability and give it to your opponent. So we would be removing Empoleon's competitive ability, which is its biggest threat to us, and we would give it the Mega Launcher ability. Now, Empoleon can't take advantage of this ability because it doesn't have any Pulse-type moves with the exception of Water Pulse. It would change its Water Pulse from a base 60 power move to a base 90 power move, which isn't that big of a deal because it already gets access to Surf, which is base 90, and Hydro Pump, which is base 110. In the small chance that it has Water Pulse, it would be no different than it having Surf, which we already know that we can survive Hydro Pump just fine, so that's not a big deal at all. We're removing competitive, we're giving it Mega Launcher, we don't have to worry about that threat for the rest of the match. It is important to note that you have to entrainment before the shield goes up. I know that this game is 14 months old, but I continue to see people trying to Screech, try to Taunt, trying to Thunder Wave when the shield is up. Status type moves do not work when the shield is up. So if you are a if you're a Clawlitzer player, you're going to want to entrainment on your first turn, and then you'll never have to press that button again. Unless you have the second Pokemon on your team, which we'll get to in a second because these 2 Pokemon work really well together. I'm very excited about it. But just real quick, Clawlitzer is a very easy build. It's just 252 special attack, 252 HP, the rest in special defense. We're going to be giving it the Shell Bell to recover HP when we use our Aura Sphere. Once competitive ability is removed, we can use Chilling Water to reduce its physical attack. We will probably only have to use Chilling Water once or twice, depending on what physical moves it has. If it doesn't have any physical moves, we can just ignore Chilling Water altogether. But I do suspect it to have either like Drill Peck or Earthquake or Rock Slide, so we'll want to use that once or twice to just help out the team that may not be able to survive like we can survive with Clawlitzer. That leads us to our second Pokemon, which is Keldeo. While Keldeo isn't available in Scarlet and Violet, you can get it from Sword and Shield. It is at the end of that DLC. I made a whole video on how to get that. Keldeo has those natural resistances of being the water type, so it resists water, steel, ice. It will be weak to any flying type moves, which would be a possible Air Slash or Drill Peck. But because Keldeo is a mythical Pokemon and because we have the Shell Bell, we'll be able to survive those moves just fine. Keldeo also gets access to Aura Sphere. If we look at our last Pokemon before Clawlitzer, we can actually use Entrainment on Keldeo. That would give Keldeo the Mega Launcher ability. That would mean our Aura Sphere goes from an 80 base power to 120 base power, and that would stay the entire round unless Keldeo faints. That is a 120 stab, fighting type, super effective move that can never miss. On a Keldeo that can boost that even more with Calm Mind, Keldeo can set Reflect to prevent any of those Drill Pecks that might happen on the physical side. I do want to talk about Sunny Day real quick because because we've had Snowscape Pokemon before, and the great thing about removing snow is removing that defense boost they get, but it also helps in making Blizzard not 100% accurate because Blizzard does become 100% accurate in the snow. So Sunny Day will increase our fire type moves by 50%, but more importantly, it will decrease any water type move by 50%. So if you do have a Pokemon that is neutral to water, it would reduce all of those water type moves that Empoleon has by 50%. So Sunny Day is very useful here but more importantly, and a lot of people I feel like do not know this, is when Sunny Day is up, it prevents Pokemon from being frozen. If we have an ice type Terra Pokemon with multiple ways to freeze us, whether that's Blizzard or Ice Beam, being frozen in a raid, not great. So we're removing its defense boost, we're making Blizzard not accurate, we're reducing water type moves, and we're preventing getting frozen, all with one single move that will last 5 to 8 turns depending on if you have a Heat Rock or not. Even if you're an attacker and you're going to be mostly attacking, I think it's still beneficial to your entire team to take one turn, set up the sun, and then go back to attacking. Keldeo's EVs are pretty simple here, 252 in HP. We're actually going to put 40 into special defense. That just helps us survive the Air Slash a little bit better. And then the rest, 216 into special attack. If you are playing with a lot of Iron Hands or Annihilate players, you could also opt to put coaching on this. Coaching would boost everyone's attack stat. If for some reason your play group, or if you're playing with a lot of randoms, or your friends are just adamant on using physical attackers, I think coaching is really great here on Keldeo. But the Keldeo Clawlitzer combo was something I was super, super excited to show you guys. So if it's just you and your significant other, you and your sister, you and your grandma, I think these two Pokemon are really great to build together. Last thing before we move on is Keldeo could go pure water type if you don't have enough stellar shards, but stellar shards seem very easy to get once you complete the DLC. There are multiple stellar spawns on the map, and every time you knock out one of those, you will get 10 stellar shards. So if you just do 5 of those, you will have enough to change Keldeo to the stellar Terra type. You could also change Clawlitzer to the stellar Terra type as well to just do a little bit more damage when you terastallize. But yeah, that's just dependent on how many shards you have. So I think Keldeo is a really good candidate for stellar. I think Clawlitzer is. Or if you're just swimming in stellar Terra shards, just do both Clawlitzer and Keldeo. There you go. Before we get to our next Pokemon, if you haven't taken a second, please make sure you are subscribed. Just give it a double check. 80% of people who watch these raid build videos are not subscribed. So if you can just take a second and hit the subscribe button, like, maybe comment which one of these Pokemon you plan on using this weekend, that would really, really help me out. We're almost to 200,000 on YouTube. I appreciate it a lot. So let's talk about the next 2 Pokemon. Our next Pokemon here is going to be Umbreon with the Water Terra type. You probably won't have to Terra Umbreon, but if you do decide to Terra it, we've already talked about how water has a bunch of natural resistances, so it just makes you even bulkier. We're going to use the item Light Clay. That will make our light screen last longer. Empoleon is mostly a special attacker. It would be silly for us not to run Light Screen. during this match. So we do have 2 different light screeners. We also have our second way to remove the ability. I thought it was important to have 2 Pokemon have Sunny Day, 2 Pokemon to be able to remove the ability, and then 2 Pokemon to be able to set light screen. So this is a full support build. Either you or Clawlitzer could do this. If you don't have a Clawlitzer, that's going to be your job. But you're going to open up with Skill Swap. That is going to take the competitive ability away from Empoleon and give it to you. And then you're going to give Empoleon the ability Inner Focus, which means it cannot be flinched, which is totally okay because you can't flinch a raid boss anyways. And then you're going to have access to Light Screen. That's going to protect the whole team for 8 turns because we're using the Light Clay item. We're going to have Fake Tears to reduce the special attack because all of our Pokemon we were building are special attackers. Remember, you cannot Fake Tears when the Raid Shield is up, so you're going to have to do it either before or after. When you're not using Fake Tears to help out the team, you're going to use Snarl. That's all you're going to do. You're going to only hit Skill Swap once because you only need to. You're going to set Light Screen, and then for the next 8 turns, you can either switch between Fake Tears, Snarl, or just using Heal Cheer to heal your team. Snarl is going to reduce its special attack, which is going to make all of our Pokemon be able to survive. So even if somebody brings a non-optimal counter, once we remove the ability and start hitting Snarl, even something that is non-optimal will still be able to survive and do just fine against this. These EVs are the most optimal they can be, so they're a little confusing. We got 252 HP, 96 defense, 136 special defense. You're probably going to ask, why is it not 252 defense? It's because there's just diminishing returns. We could put the EVs there, but we're not actually saving or reducing that much damage coming from Empoleon, so that's why we put some into defense. And then we're actually going to put 24 into speed. That's a long shot, but for the small case that Empoleon has a positive speed nature, we would still outspeed it. Literally, I put those 24 back into special defense, and it didn't change it at all just because of how naturally bulky Umbreon is. But so I thought that was a little bit more optimal. You could realistically go in with 252 HP, 252 special defense, but this Umbreon is super optimized for anything Empoleon can throw at it. So if you are playing with physical attackers like Annihilate or like Iron Hands, you can switch out Fake Tears for Screech. And if you have somebody who's already on Light Screen duty, you can switch out Light Screen for Sunny Day. So this Umbreon, super optimal here, can fit into a ton of different play styles. You can use it after the raid is over. You can actually use all these Pokemon after the 7-star Empoleon raid is over for 5 and 6-star raids. Really great. You probably, like I said, you probably won't have to Terra it. You will be in charge of your heal cheers. And you're also going to be in charge of keeping the team alive. Our last Pokemon here is going to be Slowking with the Water Psych. Well, there's technically 2 more Pokemon, but they're old Pokemon we're recycling. With the Water Terra type. Again, water with natural resistances. We're going to do the Heat Rock, but if Empoleon does spam Snowscape over and over again, we can change Heat Rock to Light Clay. Slowking's probably going to start off with Sunny Day. That's going to give it access to changing Weather Ball to a Fire type move, and then Weather Ball is going to do base 100 Fire type damage, boosted with the Sunny Day in effect. We do want to keep Sun Up as often as possible to reduce that water type damage, to reduce the accuracy of Blizzard, and to give us that boosted Weather Ball damage. We also get access to Light Screen. Like I said, I always try to do 2 screeners if we know that they're not using Brick Break. It's possible that this Empoleon could have Brick Break. In that case, Light Screen's not going to be optimal, but they do have to keep using Brick Break to break it. So I'm not sure if that's a thing it's going to do, but we can just reapply it and force it to Brick Break again, especially if it's going to try to Brick Break Slowking. We resist fighting type moves being a psychic type. So that's actually probably optimal for it to force Brick Break us. And then we have Nasty Plot to boost our Weather Ball damage in the sun. Really basic EV spread here of 252 HP, 8 defense. And the reason it's 8 defense is because that changes an Earthquake from a 3-shot KO to a 4-shot KO. Just by putting 8 EVs into defense, we actually survive 4 Earthquakes instead of 3, and then the rest into special attack. And then finally, we have Toxapex. Toxapex is only going to work if you have a Pokemon that can remove the ability. So that's Clawlitzer, that's Umbreon, and actually, I didn't mention this with Slowking, but Slowking gets access to Skill Swap, so you can also remove the ability with Slowking. We have 3 ways to remove the ability. Toxapex has Chilling Water to control that physical attack in case it has Earthquake or Drill Peck. Acid Spray, of course, to help out all of our special attackers. Sludge Bomb to fish for poison, and then Venoshock to do even more damage if it is poison. But the 2 moves you're probably going to be hitting or Chilling Water and Acid Spray. Again, only bring Toxapex if you have someone to remove the ability. Otherwise, it's not going to work at all. These are the same EVs that we've used for past builds, the same Toxapex, as optimal as possible. A held item is Poison Bar, but just so your poison moves do more damage. And then you will also be the Pokemon that's in charge of healing with your 3 heal cheers. So pretty straightforward. Didn't want to spend a lot of time on Toxapex because it's exactly the same as my old videos. And then finally, the other good acid sprayer here is going to be Arceus. You can do either water type Terra if you want those resistances. Steel type also does good here. With the Stellar Terra type, I made a whole video about this. If you don't have Arceus, it's not that big of a deal. If you do, it's probably an easy slot in. I think Arceus is kind of boring altogether because it's always the same movesets. It's always Acid Spray, Snarl, Judgment. If you've used Arceus, you know the routine here. But again, Arceus falls under the same thing as Toxapex. You cannot Acid Spray and you cannot Snarl if Empoleon still has competitive. So you do need one of the 3 Pokemon I mentioned above, Clawlitzer, Slowking, or Umbreon to remove that ability first before you're able to do your moves here. That is all 6 Pokemon. I'm super, super excited for the Clawlitzer Keldeo combo. I think that's really great. I think Umbreon is our best bulky support Pokemon, and then Slowking is a great Pokemon that kind of fits in with any kind of team composition to not only help the team out with Light Screen and Sunny Day, but to also return really decent damage without having to worry about itself. So I think all of these Pokemon are pretty accessible, except maybe for Keldeo and Arceus. But yeah, if you need help with the 7-star Empoleon, I will be streaming on Twitch on Thursday night, and I will be helping as many people as possible get through it. I will probably also be streaming on Friday, so I'll be helping all weekend. Now, I know what you're saying. What about Iron Hands? Where is Iron Hands? I already made the perfect Iron Hand build. I did a whole video about it, and you can watch it right here. It'll pop up on screen. I did a whole video. This Iron Hands is still super good for this specific raid. The thing that the Iron Hands would have to worry about, Swords Dance Earthquake and getting knocked out by belly drumming. I don't think that the Iron Hands should be belly drumming in the situation. I actually think what my video shows is Focus Energy Iron Hands is much better in a lot of situations. So if you do bring Iron Hands, I would do my Focus Energy build. Again, video probably popped up at some point. And if Empoleon uses Iron Defense, always using critical hit against a Pokemon Iron Defense ignores that. You can apply that same Focus Energy, Drain Punch, Scope Lens build to Pokemon like Hitmonchan or Annihilape or Poliwrath. Actually, I don't think Poliwrath gets Focus Energy, but Conkeldurr does, so you could do it there too. I almost built Conkeldurr, but it just took a little bit too much damage from a possible Air Cutter. Anyways, there's your Iron Hand shout out at the end if you made it to the end. It still works. It's still fine. Works even better if somebody sets Reflect in case Empoleon has Earthquake. But Focus Energy, Scope Lens, Drain Punch, very good. Watch that video. That's it for me. I will see you guys this weekend for Empoleon. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thank you for watching. Bye.